All right, outliers. How are you? Niiamah and Sean here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey. I say us because today I am joined by Rod. Rod, how do I say your last name here?
Pancine.
Rod Pancine. That's what I was going with. I should have just leaned in with it. But today, Rod and I are going to be having an incredible discussion around what it takes to continue to be you and to find a way to make the way that you show up work in a successful manner, not just in terms of like your skill set, but being able to create your livelihood and such from there. So, Rod, I'm excited for this conversation. I'm really excited to see where it goes. Thank you so much for making the time to be here today.
Thank you, Niiamah. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Yeah, glad to share ideas. I love to talk, so that's it.
Oh, you're in a good place then. Yeah. So how we do this here, Rod? Let's start off here with getting outliers to know a bit about you and the game that you're playing. Would you mind letting us know about that?
Yes, absolutely. So I have been, let's say, trying to mix and make it art and design happen since I was a teenager, I would say. So I was always, you know, uh, playing with design and solutions and trying to survive as well. I think like for artists like that experience, early their lives like art, we always have this, especially from our generation, this idea of art is not a real job and all those things, right? Anyways, I became a designer. I've been working for 15 years. Now I am a UX designer and make I make work like I think the big, insight that I have to share that I would like to in a nutshell is that I can now say that I am an artist and a designer at the same time. So I can bring the best of me in both areas and I can make both work. This is huge for me. I mean, I'm saying this might look like silly. Oh, okay, you can conciliate both things, but it's not. It was a struggle with life. I did therapy for many years. You know what I mean? It is interesting how we kind of translate success nowadays. So that's, I think, how I would shape our conversation today. It's like, sometimes you have to find your way, find craft, the life that you want, because there's so many terms, so many language that have different meanings. And we, of course, are, like child of a generation of, how can I say, put this in good words, like, yeah, with some misconceptions about life, we can say, right? Our parents, of course, like, it's just how it works. They had different lives, different like freedom, like, so yeah, I think like for me this is the biggest and I don't know how to explain this, but to make it work, to make both of them work, it's for me, it's like, oh my God, and now I can work and there's so much to do with both of the things, like business wise and artist wise. So
So yeah,
uh,
help me see this here because I'm not I feel like my art is in conversation, you know. But so let's start off here maybe by setting a bit of definition, right?
yeah.
Because if I'm getting you right, like there was a part of you that knew you wanted to be an artist, another part of you knew you wanted to be a designer, and it was um like the way that they were defined were like they were separate, very separate.
Hmm.
And recently you found a way to like bridge both of those two together in a way that like fills up your soul, but also
Yeah,
is able to like you're able to get paid for it on a regular basis,
exactly.
right? Am I getting that right so far?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah.
So tell me about like what's the difference between an artist and a designer for you? Let me
Oh,
see
that's a
that we're on the
great
same page.
question. I love that. So yeah, I mean, and that's what to be clear, this is what my perspective about life. Not
Yep.
that I have like
No,
all
this
the
this is great
answers, right?
because
It's
out
my
like outliers
experience.
we have these thoughts in our minds around like
Hmm.
potentially things that like most other people like aren't like for me I'm like what's the difference, you know,
Uh-huh.
I'm literally I'm like why don't you tell us the difference, because I'm like what's the difference, you know, but like we
Yeah.
have these stories, we have these distinctions inside of us that like you actually play out. So you know, for any outliers that's listening that's not an artist or a designer, like what we're really going to be doing is exploring the process of bringing together different
I
parts of
love that.
ourselves and making
Hmm.
them whole, right? Because I feel you. I
Yes.
feel the wholeness. I feel you are
Uh-huh.
in
Yeah, yeah.
integrity. You have one like you are whole. So yeah,
Exactly.
let's start off here. Like so, let
So
us know
yeah,
the difference.
especially when we are, like getting our lives together, like, we are, moving out, and then we get married, and then we get, we have kids and all those things. I think the artist part is always like fighting with the survival mode or the reality, which, sometimes art, it's a little hard for you. It's a long-term commitment to like actually get paid, like to actually make a living. Sometimes takes time, and also takes time because you as an artist is always trying to figure out yourself. I can talk about myself at least. I'm trying to figure out my art still. So what I did is that at one point I was like, okay, I'm good at design and I want to be an artist, but I have to provide to my family. I need to find a formula. And this formula, by the way, is changing every month because it's depending on the weather. Let's say we are adapting. So I went deep on design and UX design, especially for web and branding, strategy, and positioning. And what I found is that when I found a formula that this is actually my, let's say it's my sponsor. So my designer life or site is the sponsor of my artistic life. It provides me money, time, right? And I just, when I start see, this dynamic is kind of complicated because everyone has a different lifestyle and this lifestyle changes, like all the time. So it's hard. But when I found this formula of like using the design um, skills to sponsor my artistic freedom, two things happen. It was amazing. Design, by the way, answering your question, design is more solution driven. So it's easier for us to monetize this because everybody has, every business has needs and the needs of a website or whatever, like a process, a funnel, whatever. You are designing things. It's easy to charge. And I discovered that art for me as a solution was not so fulfilling because I want to express my feelings. And when I transform art to a product, now it becomes more like a designing solution to that audience, right? So what I did is said, okay, let's switch things. And it took me a while to get this, to this place. So now I'm sponsoring myself to express my ideas artistically, and I do visual arts. I do a little bit of video art and a lot of music songwriting. So I'm always sponsoring without any, let's say, market. The only goal is to express myself and to put all those things out there and to do the best that I think, what I think is good, right? And I'm also like discovering my talents, my tastes, and trying figuring out those things. But now with the solution, it's sponsoring my gives the difference is solution design. Solution is a specific object. A company needs something. There's a problem. You have to fix that problem. Okay, art is more expression. Is freedom. Is like let's just translate. It's more like a therapeutic work. I would say. I could say that. Well, and then the two things started. I started performing so much better, in both of them. You know what I mean? Because then they had like a place. I kind of found my mix because everyone has their mix. I know people cannot work in other things. They just want to paint. And that's okay. If you just want to paint, you're going to go crazy in that. You can find ways to structure your business. Now it's a business because your way of living. You just have to face that fact that it is a business now, right? So I think I answered that hard question long time ago. What I want to what really I want to do? Like, do I want to solve problem? Do I want to express myself? And the answer was, okay, I want to do both. Let's make both work. So that's why I created this mix for myself. I call crafting life. It's like almost like a artisan of life, right? You have to craft. Oh, I have that amount of time. Or the work that I do, it's very valuable. I can work from that time, and then I have more time after I get home. What am I going to do with that time? It's almost like investment. Where should I invest? Like this.
I really love this, Rod, from a number of different ways, right? So if you're good with this, I'm gonna unpack this and play with it a
Of
little
course, yeah,
bit.
yeah.
You good with it? Okay. So the first part here, when I hear this, I'm gonna level one of this is to treat it exactly as what you're saying within the context of what you're saying, and then level two would be like I'll take a step back and then like kind of extrapolate it for any outliers that are listening that aren't artists, aren't designers, but might be still going through their own kind of journey in between here. All right.
Hmm.
So this was actually really helpful here, and one was just like defining the terms, right? To see like
Hmm.
why is there even like why is there an issue? Why can't art be design, and why isn't design art, and so on and so forth. And what I got from you
Hmm.
was that like in the way in which you hold it here, like design is about is a pathway to solution. Design is working on a solution, whereas art is for an expression. There is
Hmm.
no solution of it. It doesn't need to be it doesn't need to provide specific value toward a specific outcome. Whereas design is what are we trying to accomplish? Great. What is the best way to that we can do this visually, or what is the user experience, or whatever it
Hmm.
is? How do we design this such that we can get that experience to occur? Firstly, am I in the right realm?
Absolutely, 100%. That was great
Okay.
summarized.
All right, great. So following that here, what I'm hearing from you is that you had this tension where you're like, I just want to express and create in as many different ways, and I don't want it to have to be useful. I don't need it to have to be a solution. Like it's just what wants to come out of me right now. And for whatever
Hmm.
purpose it is, because it's beautiful, because it's therapeutic, because what I want to challenge myself, because this is just what my body needs to bring this out into the world, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
And there was this tension that was going on where it's like, but I also still need to provide for my family and my life, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. And if I'm getting you, you're like, I did the thing where I tried the artist one, and like I try to put my art, I try to get paid for my art in particular, but there was something about that because when you, if I'm getting you right, when you moved to that, you took this thing that you loved, and then you had to try and like shave off 90% of it because because expression didn't live in the like some of your expression was useful, but not all the expression was useful. And so now you had to like take this thing that could be so wide and make it very pretty much more narrow. Let me make sure. Is
Hmm.
that true?
Yeah, a good example of that is, let's say, a folk musician wants to do like a reggae album. Why? I don't know, because he went to, I don't know, he got inspired for whatever reason. He can't because now he has an audience, and the audience, the record label wants to, of course, it's like, you see, it starts to be more commercialized, and when you have to sell things, it's an audience, there's fans, people to please, you know what, all those things, it's kind of like shape your creativity or your expression, so it becomes more like a product.
Yeah.
This is my vision. Oh my God, like maybe
Yeah.
I don't want
No,
to
I think I think
better.
this is really cool. And Rod, I like what I love about it being your vision, the way that you see it, is that like no one else on this planet is going to have this conversation.
Yeah,
Maybe other
well,
people who think about it in this way, but I
mhm.
like it because it gives us a space to have a different conversation here, you
Absolutely, yeah.
know.
Hmm.
And if it was just like if we were just saying what everyone else wanted to hear and what everyone else was saying, it wouldn't be Outliers Edge. It'd be regular people's
Yeah.
middle, you know. Like, and that's not what this is about. So,
Hmm.
um, so what I'm hearing for you, and so like outliers, let me talk to you here. Let me bridge this up here. So I want to make sure I was just seeing Rod's world first. But some of the things that I'm hearing from like a higher level perspective is that like there was something that Rod like had a lot of skill in that was not necessarily commercially viable. And in order to make it commercially viable, it's not to say you couldn't get it, but in
Hmm.
order to make it
Yes,
commercially
yes, yes.
viable, it would take something away from the experience itself that would no longer really make it what it was. Right. And I'm sure that there's
Exactly.
something like this that I like that happens for us too, where we're like, oh, I just like I believe in like the that like the coaching should be pure or like the my intentions should
Hmm.
be pure like and if we start getting money involved in it then it takes away from the purity and it might be coaching it might be there's think about it for yourself. What's the thing that you're like if we brought money in it would ruin it,
Hmm.
and I just do this because I want to do it, and
Yeah.
such. And we have a lot of people who are like if you follow your passion then you should be able to get paid for it. And you're like, but getting paid for it like actually made it like my passion couldn't live in the same world, right?
Can I actually comment on the follow your
Please.
passion? Because I
Yeah.
just this is like a really good example. It's not about following. That's my perspective. Again,
Yeah.
it's not about following, but making your passion happen. You know what I mean? Is it different for you to follow, be an artist? I'm gonna follow. No, I'm gonna be an artist. I'm gonna make my the act of creating art possible, not following art like blindly because I have kids, I have. So I think there's the context always. So when you are balancing your life and choosing your well state, the optimum, that creates a word here, optimum state of, like it was fun, you enjoy. You need to eat to have that optimum state. You know what I mean? It's not, and sometimes you can go very obsessive pursuing art. And if you are in your optimum state there, and you are willing to compromise if you have kids or wife or whatever, or if you don't want to have. So this is all the mix that you have to craft based on your beliefs and how you feel good.
Mm.
And through
Mm.
time, the way that I feel good, it changed also. So that's a
Yeah.
different element that life adds because you change, right? You evolve. So I think it's always every time, every year, trying to find, craft this mix. Maybe I did like those things, which I truly believe is really cool, where I do kind of like a hackathons in terms of coding, but for art. So I did 40 days of art when I was turning 40 years old. I didn't work that much at that time, right? But I did work for the rest of the year. You know what I mean? So it's like mixing. It's not just about like one day or I have to have 1 hour per day. You can create that. You can have 2 weeks of intense art experience and then go to work your ass off, for the rest of, it depends. You have to create those and we have freedom. But because we feel like that we are stuck in the routine, we feel like it's easy to feel stuck, right? But you can't create the routine. You can't. There is space, Yeah, but we can make it work. Like sometimes we just, yeah, just need someone to tell us that it's possible. Maybe I don't know.
Well, that's why we're here, right? We're here to show
Yeah.
all the things that people are doing that found impossible. There's something really resonates with with what you were saying, and I want to pull out the first one word first, which is you talked about sponsor, right? You
Hmm.
and you became your own sponsor, right?
Yes,
You're
exactly
like
that.
my design work sponsors my artwork, and I want to call that in a space here because like that was your choice. Like you found a way to frame it for yourself. Before
Hmm.
they were like, it felt like your design work was in competition to your artwork. It's like, oh, I'm doing design. So like but like if I wish I wasn't doing this because then I could be doing my art. And now what I think I'm hearing from you is like, you're like, oh no, like I do the design and then I sponsor myself so that if I want to take 40 days to do art, I can
Yeah,
because
exactly.
like the design work has sponsored it. And
Hmm.
like there's sometimes when you're building up building up your account on what could be then spent on art. And the other times around you prepaid the art and you're like, all right, well, I got to go put in a whole lot of work on design because
Hmm.
I took time off and I need to go replenish the account. But like that idea of being
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
self-sponsor, like it's not even the idea that it's the framing of sponsorship that I thought was super cool, where you looked at this and said like, oh yeah, like I could pay me to create art. And so I'm gonna go, I design
Yeah.
so I can pay myself to do art. And guess what? Like I am getting paid to do art. But like it's coming from my account
Yeah.
to my account.
Hmm.
And I don't, and the art that I want doesn't have to be useful. I don't want it to be a solution
Yeah.
art, you know? Am I getting this right here? Like I love the
Absolutely.
framing out on this here.
Absolutely. And I was struggling to work in terms of motivation. And this
Yeah,
is another topic. Sometimes sometimes things are more complex than
yeah.
people just like, because of course we tend to kind of make it like a pattern, generalize everything. It's okay. But I was struggling to be motivated to work in design. And then in therapy, me and my therapist were like, we got to this like big aha moment. We're like, okay, because I was trying to crowdsource some artistic projects. And you were discussing me and my therapist on the how can I judge the importance of the art time spent in a day, whatever. We were just like, philosophically like talking about the topic, making choice and balancing things. And then he was like, I have to give the credit. He said like, but why you were creating a crowdfunding whatever if you just need to be motivated to work in design, you're gonna get the money and you can sponsor yourself. And I was like, oh my God. And then it switched. Niiamah, I started to work like crazy in design. I was not working. I was like procrastinating. I was, like just browsing, scrolling through social media, and you have all these projects piling up. And I was working as a freelancer at that time because we have interesting, we can talk about this later. But anyways, I was working in an agency that I became a freelancer for some years, and then I was okay. So if I don't work, I don't get paid. I won't get paid if I get delivered the things. And so I was okay. And then I started delivering like crazy, one after another, and billing and sending invoice. I was feeling so happy. I was okay because that money was actually sponsoring my, let's call like, because I bypassed my artistic side for a long time. You know what I mean? And when something happened, something like this happened to a human being, this human being gets sad. You cannot hold creativity. It's like, yeah, it needs to happen. This is of course again my understanding of life, but yeah. And so when I started making this happen, just shifting the mindset about how I am surviving and building and crafting my lifestyle so I can make things work, and I could see all of those things from above. It just make it everything make more sense. I started becoming more productive and all of those things. And yeah, yeah, I'm in a happy place now.
I can
Maybe
feel
not
it, man.
not until tomorrow. I mean today I feel good. Maybe
You
tomorrow
change.
I'm not
You
feeling
think can
good.
change. Yep. But we're catching you. Like I'm glad we caught you on a feel good day because I feel like
Yeah,
we get a chance to actually like really explore this. There's
yeah.
something really meaningful in what you're saying, and if you don't mind, I'll bring myself in on this
Of
because it's
course,
you know
absolutely.
so the, there's a couple different ways I want to look at it, but I'll go straight to the heart of it, which is over the last few years, one of my biggest things has been like I want to just have very solid recurring revenue through my business, right? And
Mm,
not just like here goes a good cash windfall, and then it's hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, and as I've been doing this, I've been focusing more on what I would say like the mechanics of business, right? Like
mm,
getting into like, okay, how like what is the customer life cycle? How am I continue to grow along it? What is the systems that are in place so that it's not just my charisma that's getting us across the line, but there's
mm-hmm,
actually like the fidelity is really
mm-hmm.
really strong. And one of the things that I was thinking about was like as I was doing this, I was like, oh, there are times where even as I'm building, like the finances weren't coming together, right? And I remember being like, okay, well, I want to make sure I get this done. Do I go out and get like a part-time job? Do I go do something there? And then like my ego was like yelling at me, right? I was like, but people know this, like know you as this,
Mm-hmm.
like my ego was very much not having it. Um, and I recognized for myself that there were things that I could be offering in my business that like a part of me was like, but it's not the pure thing,
Mm,
it's you're doing too much work. It's not pure coaching, and so on and so forth. And I remember having a conversation with myself and being like, I'm willing to go. It was actually being in an Uber with someone, and he talked about like how he wakes up at 3 a.m. and does like starts his Uber there because he gets so much business before everyone else wakes up, and he has his regulars and all that, right? And I thought to myself immediately, I'm like, all right, well, if I needed to, I can go do this Uber thing. And I was like, actually, I think it's more about like getting up at 3 a.m. and being like, if I'm willing to go do that for this other area, why don't I
yeah.
just do it in my own business? And
Mm,
what if between 3 and 9 I was doing work to generate the rest of the cash to then invest in where I wanted the business to go in the long run, you know? And so when I hear you talk about this, Rod, like I feel my own parallels with it. And like and
yeah.
the components of like this is my art, this is my legacy, this is
Yeah.
this is what I want to do to I say this is a movement, right? It's like, is this a
Mm-hmm.
movement, is this a business, what's going on here? It's
I
like,
can
well, actually
feel
I need the
that.
business in
Yeah.
order for the movement to live, you know. But if I don't,
Mhm.
and sometimes I just need to get like this might be a period of time where it's like it's more business than movement because once the business gets done, the movement the movement
Can
can be
continue.
completely fueled all up. But it's like I'm hearing your conversation and it's taken me to that. I may not use the word artist and designer and sponsor, but I think that there's something really that's moving along in parallel. And I
Yes.
would probably imagine that outliers and trailblazers listening to this have their version of this. Maybe they're
Yeah.
working a
Yeah.
full-time job and
Hmm.
that is sponsoring the work that the investments, right? That
Hmm.
they're doing there. Maybe and maybe the language is they want to use sponsor, but it's like, oh, my full-time job is investing in this, you know, so on and so
Hmm.
forth. But I really love that component of like, let's find that part within us. Let's find the mental mind shift frame to frame it that way, but also the humility to allow that to be okay, you know?
Yes.
And then not even okay, but to allow that to be like, wow, this is a great thing. Because you didn't just say like, oh, I'm good with it. You're like, well, this is gonna be my sponsor. I want my sponsor to be like, I want it to really work. Let me go be incredibly productive. Let me go do everything I can with it. Right. So
Mhm.
I that was really flowing to me as we were talking. I appreciate you, man.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate this space and to talk to you. Have a great vibe, and I love your movement. Niiamah. Keep
Thank
going.
Thank you, Rod. Like this is really important to me. It's I can't not do it. Is where it is, and you know I'll find different ways to keep investing and growing it from there. So
Mhm.
Rod, I just looked down and it turns out that this is our time for today. We're just at the top of the hour. So here goes something here. I'm going to make a request of outliers. Then I'm going to make a request of you. Okay. When it comes to outliers here, outliers. My request of you is for you to go and share this podcast with the people of your world. This podcast grows by word of mouth, and we don't put any ads or
Mhm.
anything towards it. So it really grows from like people like you just saying like this was really meaningful and sharing that with the others in your world. So if you don't mind doing that, that would be really awesome.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
All right. And we also have this other thing that we do that we call the one person, one conversation at a time initiative, which is really about like taking, I think goes beyond just like their reach and getting this out to people, but it's actually about like shifting someone's heart and soul. There's one thing that for them to hear it in their head, but there's another thing to like reach them in the heart and soul. And my ask is that if there's someone in your world who would really benefit, who might feel like they're an artist or may feel like they're a designer and they're trying to figure these things out here, outliers, would you mind sharing this episode with them and let them know you were thinking of them? All right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Rod, as we wrap up here, there's two things. One, how can outliers go further down if they want to come into your world, Rod, like, and they want to work with you for design, or they want to see the art that you're putting out in the world, or just follow you in general. What's the best way for them to go and do that?
So you can follow me. I believe my website is the best hub for all things. Is Rod Pancine dot art. So RodPancine and design, all the links for visual arts, music, all this, the songbook, everything is there.
And then the last question I have for you is like now that outliers they got a chance to hear your story, they've got a chance they're gonna be pulling out some things for themselves. What's an insight that you are leaving this conversation with?
Interesting. I'm living with a feeling that, my story can resonate and also that I might find more people like me than I thought. You know what I mean? Like maybe I have a tribe around that has like the same things. I just had this feeling that maybe kind of like yeah, maybe there's a tribe out there that I might reach out.
Yeah, man. It's one of the things that keeps coming up here. It's like you're not alone. And you know, I told you about my mission, which is like to bring together a truly inclusive and empowered world. And I was originally I was
Mhm.
like, hey, usually we'll have more people on the panel, so on and so forth. But right there, that bridge right there, this is why we're still bringing you. Like you're like, wait, there may be other people out there. Like I'm not alone in
Yeah.
this. You know. Um,
Hmm.
Rod, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for living the life you do. Thank you for bringing this powerful insight
Thank you.
and mindset into this space here, and for sharing it so openly and expressing yourself so fully. Right.
Thank
And
you. Thank you,
until the
Niiamah.
next time we talk, outliers, remember this: be you on purpose. Journey.